Hey, good morning, guys.
So Deshaun Watson, we knew he was going to be rusty, right? Like, okay, we knew that already, but he finished 26 of 42, 276 yards. His touchdown pass was the only one the Browns could muster. And the Bengals bottled up Cleveland running backs Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But he did take big steps, I thought, from week 1 to week 2. Because week 1 for him last week could not have gone any worse, it seemed like, even though they somehow got out with a win. What do you think the offense has looked like with Deshaun Watson?
You know, the offense has looked like it's kind of been preseason mode, right? You know, I think Deshaun Watson was extremely rusty in week 1. You said they were playing, one of the worst teams in the NFL in the Texans, so they were still able to get the W. Yesterday, he looked a lot better, but the offense just not really clicking. Lots of penalties on the offensive line. The running game got stopped as the Bengals' front four just dominated the Browns, and they really couldn't find any rushing lanes. But Deshaun Watson threw the ball well, was much more accurate. Still, I think, is another week or two away from finding that chemistry with his receivers. But he took a big step yesterday, and I know they only scored 10 points, but they went for it on fourth a few times. But there definitely was some improvement from his first game to his second.
Yeah, Emmett, one of the things that I actually love that I've seen from Deshaun Watson yesterday with defenders draped on him on a key third down play is still delivering the football to Donovan Peoples-Jones coming on an end cut for a first down. That was good to see. But I got to ask you, looking at this Browns team, and right now you're looking at the playoff race and how teams are seeded, you have the Chargers at number 7, but then you have the Jets that follow by the New England Patriots, the Jaguars, the Raiders, and then the Cleveland Browns. Are they playing at this moment right now for the 2023 season to see, what direction they can go offensively, defensively, and on special teams?
I think they're trying to have it both ways. They want to give Deshaun an opportunity to knock off all that rust so he's ready to go next year and they can make a real push to win the division. But I think they also want to, try to win and hang around. But it's going to take a lot for them to sneak their way into the playoffs. They were 3-7 a few weeks ago, and at that point I felt like the season was over because it's a long shot, not just the amount of games that the Browns have to win, but the amount of teams in front of them that have to lose or weird things have to break a certain way. So they were trying to have it both ways, and you know what? If this team could play complementary football, they might be able to do it, but that's just been a difficult thing for them all year long. When one phase of the game is playing well, either another one or the other two are struggling, and that just seems to be the same thing that the Browns are struggling with right now.
And it's funny you say that, Emmett, because, in a lot of cases, you can't have your cake and your ice cream, too. You got to choose one or the other. And for the Cleveland Browns...
You want to do it, though. If you can do
exactly.
it, you got to do it.
So, I was talking to Emmett Golden, ESPN Cleveland, ESPN radio host here on Keyshawn J. Willimax, ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. Harry Douglas in for Key and J today. So, Emmett, one of the reasons you guarantee a guy $230 million, even when he was going, did what he did and all that, is that you get a premium at the position. It's not just what the guy can do, it's what he can do relative to other guys at the position, right? So that gives you the advantage. So Deshaun Watson, when he left football, was a top 5 quarterback. The consensus was he's one of the 5 best quarterbacks on the planet. But even without the rust now, if he gets back to what he was, is he still top 5? Because the ascension of Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, there are lots of young guns in the league that were not either there or where they are now when Watson left. Is the feeling in Cleveland that once he gets back to what he was, which I think is a pretty safe assumption he can do that, he still has the position he once held in the sport? Like that he's better than Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts? Because he has to be better than some of those guys to be a top 5 player.
I think it's something that's going to be a lot of fun debating. I think that you could see it. Harry referenced the throw to Donovan Peoples-Jones when, we saw that throw. The thought was there's probably 3 other quarterbacks in the NFL that can do that. Now, he's just working on getting back to doing that consistently. But I think so, and if not, then okay, he's a top 6 quarterback,
right,
a top 7, which still isn't really that bad. But, that's those are the type of things we love to debate. And we saw how talented he was last time. He got a full season under his belt. There's a lot of great quarterback play in the NFL, but he's definitely in the conversation if he's able to get back to form.
So, meantime, the AFC North. Burrow's third in MVP odds. Hurts is first, then Mahomes, then Burrow, right? We're going to get into the MVP a little bit later, but real quick, who's your MVP right now?
Oh, for me, it's Jalen Hurts. I like him a lot. I like the fact that, when he got to Philly, I don't think he was looked at to be a guy that would ever get this team to where they are right now. I feel like they wanted to use him as kind of a placeholder, and he overcame that and really grabbed that opportunity. And I just love that story. And they're the best team in the NFL right now, record-wise. So for that reason, he's my MVP. And Max, you know how things go. They like to spread the love around with the MVP. They don't want to give it to the, guys that got it before and stuff like that. So I think ultimately it's Jalen Hurts. But it should be a fun close to the season. I still think it's up in the air.
Now, I want to shift things to another team in the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens, right? Lamar Jackson went down. Tyler Huntley found a way to win the game last week. He comes into the game yesterday against the Pittsburgh Steelers as the starter, doesn't finish that game. Anthony Brown comes in. When you look at this team at this moment right now, how do you see this Baltimore Ravens team faring with the rest of the games that they have on their schedule? Tyler Huntley probably won't play the next game. Lamar Jackson probably won't be there for another 2 or 3 weeks. Do you see them winning the AFC North and actually potentially having a bid for that number 1 seed, or are you going to see a drop-off with Anthony Brown at the quarterback position?
I think you're going to see a drop-off. It's a lot to ask your third-string quarterback to kind of keep, the engine going and keep winning. So I think it's going to be tough for them to just keep stacking W's when you got Cincinnati coming up fast. And I think Cincinnati's playing the best football in the AFC North right now, and they're the healthiest at the quarterback position for sure. So I think it's going to come down to the last week of the season, but I just feel like Cincinnati has hit that stride that they kind of hit last time. They're playing their best football at the end of the year. And meanwhile, the Ravens are dealing with injuries, and you just can't replace a guy like Lamar Jackson. And hopefully he gets back sooner rather than later, and they can make this thing interesting. But I just think it's going to be tough for them to overcome the injuries they have right now.
Last one really quick. Does the Huntley injury affect Lamar Jackson in his return? Does that speed things up, or can Lamar still, take his time and get healthy enough to be effective down the stretch?
It's going to put a ton of pressure on him. If he's able to come back early and get some wins, then, he can argue, I need a fully guaranteed contract. So I think that adds another layer to this, where I'm sure he wants to get back for his team. But if he is able to get back and get those victories and ultimately win the AFC North, then he can say, look, guys, I'm durable, I'm tough, and I'm deserving of having a fully guaranteed contract. So I think he would like to, and I'm sure they're going to do everything they can to get him on the field. But you just don't want to do any long-term type of damage to any injury he has. So it'll be something to keep our eye on, but I think he's going to do his best to get back as soon as possible.
That is Emmett Golden, ladies and gentlemen, ESPN Cleveland. Emmett, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, guys.
ESPN radio host, of course, Emmett Golden. All right. Keyshawn J. Willimax, Harry Douglas, in for Key and J today. You've heard Emmett Golden say just now that Jalen Hurts would be his MVP.
Say it one more time for me.
That's what he said, Jalen Hurts. Okay. Harry may feel a certain way, too. Is it like they say, Jalen Hurts incorrectly, they say? Or is it